This video will help you talk about daily activities in the present tense. What do you do? This is the helping verb and this is the main verb. When you, this subject matches this subject, put the verb be here, and then you can put an adjective right here and a question mark. What do you do when you are tired? When you answer the question, what do you do when you are tired? I and the main verb go to sleep, or I rest, or I take a nap. When answering the question like this, don't use do in the answer. All of these answers are in the present tense. If you change the subject, for example, change you to he, this verb then changes, the helping verb changes to does. What does he do when he, this matches the subject in the first part of the question, and this changes, the verb be changes to is. What does he do when he is tired? And then the answer, you put he, and the verb then needs to change. He goes to sleep. He rests. He takes a nap. All of these are in the third person singular, and they're in the present tense. What do you do when you are sick? This question is in the present tense, and then the answer, you can say, I take medicine, or I rest, I go to sleep. You can add on to this and make a longer answer. I take medicine when I am sick. Or you can say, when I am sick, I take medicine. It doesn't matter what order you use for this response. But if you start with when I am sick, you put a comma here, when I am sick, and then I take medicine. So the question and the answer are both in the present tense. This happens whenever you are sick. If you change the subject, let's change this to she, and then this changes to does. What does she do when she is sick? When she is sick, comma, she takes medicine. Here's another way to ask about everyday activity. What do you do when you wake up? Here's the part that makes the question, what do you do? And this part indicates when you wake up. And this is the verb after the subject here. I eat breakfast. Or I take a shower. The answers are in the present tense. If you change the subject to he or she, you have to change this. What does he do when he, and then you change this also to wakes. What does he do when he wakes up? And then change the subject here. And the verb has to change. He eats breakfast. He takes a shower. It's important to make sure that the subject and the verb always agree. They always match. And in the present tense, it's very easy to tell when the subject and the verb match or go together. What do you do in the morning? Or what do you do in the afternoon? Or what do you do in the evening? The response in the present tense to what do you do in the morning could be I go to school, I go to work, I read the newspaper. If you change the subject here, let's change it to they and use the plural. What do they do in the morning? And the response, here's the subject, they. They go to school. They read the newspaper. If you change the subject to one person, a woman, she, then remember that this has to change to does. What does she do in the morning? She goes to school. She reads the newspaper. The question and the answer are both in the present tense.